Now to strike.
Hello and welcome to the FPL Midweek Focus Show, and I'm here with, as you can see, Ray Quraishi. How are you, Ray?
Very good, Graham. Good to finally meet, and yeah, thanks for getting me on.
That's not a problem at all. Fellow gunner here, so two gunners on the show tonight, so you probably hear a lot of Arsenal talk, but we've waited a while to be able to talk, haven't we, Ray? That's the truth.
Yeah, and especially when it's positive as well.
Absolutely, buddy, absolutely. Quick hi to Nuclear Atoms in the chat. Thanks for modding, dude. Always good to have you here. So, we'll have a look at your team, Ray. So, you got 58 points in Game Week 17. Would you like to give us a little talk through how you got on in Game Week 17?
Yeah, so prior to the week, I was pretty excited about how I'd do. I kind of had an aim of mid-60s, maybe going into the 70s. I took out Taylor and brought in Loughton, which worked out brilliantly. So, run through it, defense was very disappointing. No one really performed for me. The Justin one, I also got hit with that as well. You know, he was on a 9-pointer and then ended up with one in the space of like 32 seconds.
Feel your pain,
Oh,
Ray.
yeah. The big one for me was who to captain out Fernandez and Son. And me, I'm always a form of a fixtures guy, because this year I think FDR could really be ignored for me because there's no fans basically. And I think ultimately it's almost a level playing field, which kind of shows in some of the insane results, which I think will continue for the rest of the season.
Agreed.
So I went and captained Bruno just simply because of form, performed well. Che Adams was then out as well. I didn't know he'd be out with a concussion. James was already out, and Jones didn't come off the bench. So I actually only had 10 players. So I suffered an 80,000 red arrow, which I'm actually okay with, considering last week we kind of got done over with a few postponed fixtures, and this week I think I'm kind of set up all right, because I'm not going to go with a free hit. Spoiler.
Spoiler alert.
Spoiler, yeah. I know Nuclear Atoms has been talking a little bit about some if he should free hit or not, and I'm sure he might get into it again.
He will.
Just above the average, but still hit a red arrow. But I think my team is looking all right. I think even if postponements happen, I think I'm agile enough to act. So yeah, no, not too bad.
Oh, that's good to hear. Good to hear, buddy. I mean, yeah, a lot of the points in the defence. Normally, it's nice just to have one clean sheet, or at least more than a one in the defence. And I couldn't believe how many ones there were in mine either. It's just amazing, isn't it, really? But yeah, in regards to your team there, like Son, KDB, Salah, Fernandez, it's the powerhouse midfield that you want, really, isn't it?
Yeah, I see. Before I was kind of calling it the Holy Trinity of KDB, Salah, and Fernandez, but then I think I called it the Quad Force. You know, something cheesy. That I thought that you got to have Sonny for me. I think all four players are fixture proof, and I think you can build a great team around it. So I have no plans to take out any of them, unless they're injuries, obviously. But yeah, I think I'll keep all four. Because at any point they can all explode, can't they? I've kept KDB since game week 2, so I've been very loyal to the guy. So he owes me big. So I'm expecting the next 6 fixtures he really comes up with some pretty massive hauls, because the fixtures look beautiful for him. Yeah.
He looks like he's turned a corner a bit. What do you think after last game week's performance? I think we got KDB back now officially.
So I'm a huge fanboy, and I wrote an article after last season's FPL about not captaining the guy a lot, even though I'm just a huge fan. I think he's the best player in the league after Hazard left.
Yep.
And I think he's about 5% off it. I think his finishing's become actually quite poor. He does miss quite a few chances, but I think the guys around him are starting to perform now. I think Pep Guardiola's kind of let go of the shackles a little bit because I felt like he was almost playing two CDMs a lot of the time. But with KDB now having the guys run off him, I think I could really see Man City start to be their impotent best again, personally. So I definitely feel people should rock with two of them minimum.
Imagine if Aguero comes back up the top. They got Brighton next, haven't they? I mean, you've got to fancy him against Brighton. Brighton haven't looked good, have they? Do you think Aguero plays? Starts?
Well, we should snip it and tag Nymphrya.
Yeah, Aguero! Definitly. Snippet. I like that you got Snippet in there as well, buddy. Well done.
Yeah. Well, we're on the show tomorrow. We're doing a stream tour with the Wildcats. I'm on the teaser about
Brilliant.
that she should take him. Brilliant. But I don't know, man. For me, I have to wait for guys to perform until I bring them in, because you could bring on Aguero, he'll do nothing for like 3 games, and you're playing him all that time, and you're taking the hits really. So yeah. I think I'm unsure if Aguero will even start. I mean, I could actually see Ferran Torres playing, because they need to look after him. Because let's be honest with you, his body's broken down, hasn't
Definitely.
it? He just can't. He can't play the games anymore. So, phenomenal player for me. One of the top 5 Premier League strikers ever. I think he's absolutely amazing. But if you can get 15 to 20 Premier League games out of him every season, I think that's a hit. And he'll probably get 20 goals because he's so amazing.
Even if a couple of them games are hat tricks, that's nice, isn't it? That really would add to the tally. I mean, they just got to look after him now. Like you said, he's sort of injury prone more now with age. We all know what that feels like.
Yeah.
But anyway, another talking point. Sorry, buddy. Another talking point in your team. It's an interesting one. DCL, Dominic Calvert-Lewin. I don't think he's got on the score sheet for the last 4 games. What are your thoughts on him? And can he pick up his goal scoring form again? What do you think?
Hard one with him, yeah, because it's actually, I think it's 5 games. Yeah, it's 5 games since he scored. He has got 4 assists or 3 assists, bless him in that. But I think his time has maybe come now in regards to actually shifting him out, because that's a lot of money to hold on to when I feel players like Bamford, Adams, Antonio, Watkins probably bring the same kind of possible returns. And since James has kind of been out, and I feel like obviously with Digne on the left and Coleman only just coming back, he doesn't really get the creative support that he was having in the beginning of the season. I think he's playing absolutely brilliantly, but personally, if fixtures are still going ahead for the double game week, I am going to take him out and probably bring in Watkins, and then use that money to bring in another goalie. So I have 15 players to play my bench boost. So honestly, if anyone advised me, should I take him out? I say yes, if you don't have any other fires to put out, obviously. So I just don't think he's a hold going forward, because with 7.6, 7.5 million, you could get someone a good 1.5 million cheaper who probably brings the same kind of return possibilities, and use that money elsewhere to make your 5th enabler into Souček, for example, which is basically what I'm looking to do going forward.
So that's where your plan comes into it. Fair enough. So yeah, DC, I think Everton in general, they've had players missing here and there. Richarlison, James, the defenders, Digne missing, Coleman just coming back. I think that's affected
Alan as well to protect the defence.
What a player he is, Alan. Amazing defensive midfielder. I mean,
amazing.
Very important in today's game. The way that they play, you see at Leicester and Didi. Kante at Chelsea, maybe not as good as he was, but still the idea behind it. Fernandinho did it for Man City. So that type of play.
Fabinho for Liverpool, agree.
And who do Arsenal need to do that?
I was in a good mood regarding Arsenal. What are you doing?
I'm not putting you on a downer now. Hey, here we go, mate. I tell you what, Ozil's on his way out, so that brings the happiness back, I think.
Yeah, I mean, if I could share a little bit on Ozil, if that's okay.
Yeah, that's fine. I just would like to say I think he's left because Kolasinac is gone, so he's got no more protection. Go ahead,
Yeah,
mate.
soon it will be the Arsenal fans in the van.
If we- Go ahead, buddy. Share away. Share away.
Yeah, I mean, regarding Özil, it's such a shame, isn't it? Because I remember when he came and I just couldn't believe it. It was the first massive signing since the stadium. Because I've been really disappointed with how we've kind of used our funds. Because I've always believed they've been there, but Arsene Wenger he has a master's in economics, so you can imagine he gets, he got into the books with with the accounts and stuff. So when we bought Özil, I was like, oh my goodness, this is it. It's going to be a turn. And I blame it two way. I think number one, we never really had the kind of defensive support we needed to kind of have a maverick like Özil, because you can't rely on the guy to come back. He's a maverick. You want the guy to do the stuff up top, because for Germany and Real Madrid, he never came back because he didn't need to.
Exactly.
And I think also because we're not a fantastic team, we can't have passengers, if you like, in regards to not doing the defensive work. So I think for everyone, I think it's the right thing. Has he failed at Arsenal? I'll say no. But has he at all? I mean, I saw your tweet. Has he at all met the levels of his obvious ability? Absolutely not. And I think one is, of course, because of him. And two, I don't think the system ever really allowed him to be honest with you. Because for me, Ozil should be a number 10 and just literally stay on a halfway line, mate. Don't come back, because he can't offer us anything. But I still believe he's one of the top 5 passers in the Premier League. I think he's an incredible player. But for the sake of Arsenal and his career, I think it's the right thing. Thanks a lot, but, all the best now.
No, very well summed up, Ray. Very well done. I like that. A quick go to the chat. Let's have a look. We've got Kev Mack joining us. Says, I bought Aguero in my first wild card. Started, subbed at half-time and never seen again. Sounds like a familiar story with Aguero. Nuclear Ham saying age is getting to Aguero, unfortunately. Also saying, Watkins, are you joking? And if I do get rid of DCL, I would bring Lacazette. Lacazette's looking all right at the moment, isn't he?
Oh, fantastic. I mean, I watched the last few games, and the weak link out of the front four is Aubameyang, isn't it? I mean,
yeah.
When I watched the game against West Brom, I thought to myself that, if Aubameyang's playing or not, it's okay, because one thing I've spoken about before, and I'm sure you have, and also other Arsenal fans, is Lacazette's doing a good job. He's not got runners. No one's running off him, because you got Willian, who's old as shit. So mind my language.
That's all right. It's true.
You got Pepe, who's just, I love the guy, but he's a bit of a headless chicken, and Lacazette doesn't have the guys running off him. Like Aubameyang is just not putting the effort in at the moment, in my opinion. Until the West Brom game, I was very impressed. He just needed a goal. But then when you got Saka, Martinelli, Emile Smith-Rowe,
wow,
even Reece Nelson, who I'd eventually like to get back into the fold. Now you got some proper exciting players now. So Aubameyang actually has a battle to stay in the first team, in my opinion. Because
agreed.
For me, if you're playing well, you keep the shirt. That's always what I've been. If you're playing well, you hold on to the shirt. I don't care if you're Aubameyang. I don't care if you're Smith-Rowe. Guys, in regards to contrast of reputation, you're playing well, you keep the shirt. Holding is smashing it, keep the shirt. Pablo Mari's playing well. Gabriel shouldn't come back in until Mari or Holding, don't perform. I don't want guys to just come back in because we've spent a bit of money on them. So for the moment, Aubameyang played well enough for me for him to stay in. But sorry, I went on a tangent. In regards to Lacazette, well, you got to find the money because he's more expensive than DCL.
Yeah.
And you can't really, do you really want to bring him in unless you're free hitting? Because remember, DCL is playing. So I am playing him in the next game because he has a fixture. So Lacazette is a good one, I must say, because we do have half decent fixtures coming up, isn't it? We really could get another 3 wins when I look on paper. So,
yeah, absolutely. He just looks really in form. I think he had a little break with the youngsters coming in and whatnot, and played that sort of deeper role or came off the bench. And I think that's helped him. I think it gave him that kick maybe that he needed. But Aubameyang, very unfortunate not to score. He's always going to be involved. Put a few crosses in. But for me, he doesn't seem to... that famous finish of his where he cuts in and he finishes to the far side. So he cuts in onto his right and all the defenders, they all know These can do that, and it's like he knows they know. And that was exactly what it was like last game. He went to do it, and he just went round the outside and couldn't do it. And a few times, a bit hesitating in the way that he attacks, which surprised me. I think he needs to get another goal or so. He just needs a bit more confidence, I think. Which is surprising in a big player, but that's what they say. Goals change games, and they certainly change players' confidence levels, Ray, you know?
Yeah, I think the big thing I've heard about Aubameyang, almost since he signed his contract, if you like, is I haven't seen the effort for me. I just didn't see him making the same pulsating runs. I didn't see him trying to get through the gaps between the blocks. I didn't see him cutting in when he had the ball. He looked almost a yard off pace. Like a couple of times he tried to touch the ball past Brighton and couldn't get round Webster. You know, this was all very alarming things. But against West Brom, saw a very different Aubameyang. I saw the Aubameyang who won us the FA Cup. You know, making those runs, getting involved. But I think the exuberance of youth has offered that with the whole team, like Lacazette, like Aubameyang. I think they find a huge refresh, isn't it, by bringing in this youth and exuberance. And one thing I've said a lot of times on different pods as well is that, you know, give the team something to fear, because we are still, for me, a top 8 team. We still have one of the top 8 squads, in my opinion, when you come to depth. So give them something to be scared of. And that's exactly what we've done, especially in in all 3 of the games, really. Apart from the first half against Brighton, I think the last 3 games, we've looked like who we are, for me, which is a big club. So
massive for us. So looking ahead at game week 19, and it's in regards to sort of DCL, when you said like you're going to hold on to him, which makes sense. He's playing against Wolves. He's playing in that game week. You know, you don't have to go
18,
anywhere with him. But when I looked earlier at an option, because I've got him as well, and I thought, oh, Callum Wilson versus Sheffield United. Sheffield United having a terrible one. Would Callum Wilson be a good option? And I was really torn between, will DCL just carry on scoring? It'll be a typical move. You get rid of him, and you try go at Wilson, Sheffield United, because I'm going to free hit in that game week, so it doesn't matter really if I did, but I could just still see him going and doing that. But yeah, Sheffield United, Newcastle, what are your thoughts looking ahead to that one, and will you have any assets from there?
Unfortunately, no, because I currently have 7 players, but I have 2 free transfers.
Yeah.
So I'm going to just leave it until the last minute, because at the moment it's all just crazy, isn't it? There might be another postponement. They might bring Southampton Leeds to 18, which I'm going to get very excited about if that happens, because of some FA Cup issues. Hilariously, I think DCL could be a differential hauler for 18, because people are either going to take him out or free hit. And if you're free and hitting, you're not bringing in DCL. And if you got transfers to play with, a lot of people are probably going to take out DCL. So I think there won't be a lot of owners. So back to your Sheffield United Newcastle. Absolutely. If I was free hitting, Callum Wilson all day. Absolutely would, because I think he'll return. Because Sheffield United are so poor. And I could possibly see Andy Carroll starting up top with Callum Wilson to really put the pressure on the Sheffield United back line. So, yeah, absolutely. Would I go for anyone else? Maybe Dubravka. Not Dubravka. Maybe Darlow. But maybe Darlow. But I'd probably rather go for an Edison or mine's gone blank, or even Leno, because I actually think Sheffield United could possibly get a goal against Newcastle, because Newcastle's defence is just not that good right now, especially with Lascelles out for a while. So
I love
Callum
that
Wilson,
Leno
definitely.
penalty save, so he's got that in his locker for bonus points, you know. But yeah, Edison would be good, because obviously Brighton, they look really toothless. I mean, I think Welbeck's injured as well now, and you did make the valid point of, with COVID and everything, you just don't know between here and now. And that's why I appreciate, Ray, this game week, that we can't really give sound advice, as sound as we always try to make it, but with it being on the 12th, we've got quite a way to go till then. And with everything that's going on, unfortunately, in the UK, it is hard for us to say. But I suggest like we just recommend from short term and what we do know, really. That's what we can do for you guys. So, yeah, moving on, next game is Burnley, Man United. Rashford looking quite sharp. Fernandes, we all know about him. He's the main man. Could possibly Ben Mee be a pick, or would you not risk it against that United attack? And could Cavani return? What do you think, Ray?
So I think you said Burnley just in case they're Burnley fans listening. Otherwise, you wouldn't have said that. But so yeah, I mean, I was all set to free hit until the Burnley Man U game got put to this game week and the Man City game. Otherwise, I was definitely going to free hit because I would have only had 4 players. So I got quite fortunate there. In regards to Burnley, possibly they're 2 players. One is Chris Wood, who I really did think about bringing in for this next game week because I got enough money to make Adams into Chris Wood. Because if they score, I can see it being Chris Wood. And another one could be Nick Pope because of save points, Graham. They won't keep a clean sheet, in my opinion. Like, absolutely no way. I just cannot see it. But, maybe save points, but he's very expensive now. So he's not really an option for me. Manchester United, they're playing well. They got the form. They got the fixtures in essence. And all the top players are starting to perform now. Even Martial's starting to perform again. I could see Cavani playing simply because tonight against Man City, they'll play their first team. They should anyway. And then in the FA Cup, obviously, they don't who they're going to play. Either Martial, Rashford, or Greenwood are definitely going to start that game in the FA Cup simply because they don't have any other forward. So I could see Cavani playing against Burnley because the game is after Burnley, it's Liverpool. So
they want to get him ready.
It's going to be an incredible game. Actually, I can't wait for that.
That will be actually because now Man United's starting to get their form more, aren't they? Really. I think Rashford's definitely a good option in there if you're free hitting or if you're doing a wild card. Well, no, mind you, the first wild card's gone. You probably want to save your second one now until later in the season. But free hit wise, Rashford would be a good option, definitely. Fernandes. Now, here's an interesting one. Man United, we know what they do. They get penalties. Even if they're not penalties, they will get them. We don't even need VAR. They
Fernandes.
I mean, it'll be Pogba as well. Pen Pog. But he tripped himself up for that last game. I didn't see how that was a penalty, but they got it anyway. But whoever takes it would be Rashford or Fernandes, because I know they like to swap. Does Nick Pope have a penalty save in him?
Oh, completely, because he's a top goalie. I think Pope should be our number 1. It was out of him and Henderson, but after Henderson made the insane decision to stay at Man U, for me, he should have at least slowed down. For me, his England chance has been scuppered from his own personal decision. I think Nick Pope's our best goalie. I honestly believe he's England's number 1. Absolutely. Rather than T-Rex hands Pickford.
T-Rex hands folding his laundry.
Yeah, it's literally just like that. But I definitely think Nick Pope has a penalty save in him. But I mean, there's so many other better keepers to pick for that game week. But if you really wanted a Burnley defensive option, then I'd either go with him or Loughton. I mean, I'm playing Loughton simply because I have him in my team. But yeah, I think Manuel Hall and I think Bruno and Rashford will get returns of some sort because I've seen a lot of free hit teams and probably 70 to 80% that I've seen going off Twitter all have Rashford.
I mean, there was news, wasn't there, just the other day where there's more COVID cases rising reported by the Premier League. Could that impact tonight's game, the City Man U one? Could there be more in them camps and actually get an idea of who could be missing for game week 18?
Possibly. I mean, because it's very weird, isn't it? Because I saw on Sky Sports today that Derby basically have 15 players who aren't available for the FA Cup, so they're gonna bring their youth team players in, and this is what really perplexed me because I'm like, why are the Fulham fixtures getting postponed? How come they're able to get that how come they're able to get that accepted when they're looking to postpone the games? Because the rules were clear. If you cannot bring out 15 players, then the game will actually be forfeited, not postponed. And that's really perplexed me because I feel it's a bit...
Move the goalpost, literally, Ray.
Legit. It just doesn't make sense because Man City have legit had like 7 players with COVID. The games are still going ahead. So I don't know what underhand tactics Fulham have done to get these postponements, but ultimately these games should be going ahead if you have 15 fit players. So, but I'm very impressed that, I mean, for me, the Premier League shouldn't stop anyway because it's the most stringent testing in all of sports. We're having 2 tests per week. So if players are obviously affected, they're going into isolation straight away. I'm more intrigued with Manchester City because apparently they had another 3 players, including their reserve keeper, Scott Carson, who's also tested positive as well. So who knows? I mean, you're quite right. That's why if you had the free hit or you want a free hit or make transfers, I would literally leave it until 30 minutes before deadline because that's what I'm going to do. I don't care if the costs go up because I'd rather save my chip than, have to pay an extra 2.2 or 0.3 because you can find that money somewhere.
Absolutely. So moving on to Wolves versus Everton. It's quite a good game and one I'd find quite hard to call. What about yourself? What do you think there?
Well, from an FPL aspect, no one has selected anyone on their free hits and transfers, isn't it? Like nobody. I mean, I've listened to enough and seen on Twitter, no one's picking Neto, no one's picking Cody, no one's picking any Everton assets. So as a game, I see a 1-1. I see a 1-1 all over this one. I see a 1-1 or 0-0 because both defenses actually have good defenders, but they're not defending well at all. I mean, Wolves have just taken a nosedive in defensive aspect because Nuno's tried to change the formation a bit more to a 4-2-3-1.
With Jimenez
but it's more...
out, he has to, doesn't he? So I think it's going to be very stalematey.
That's a word.
Yeah.
so I this is the one fixture is very difficult for me to call, but I'm going to be on the fence here and I'm going to go with a 1-1 or a 0-0. I don't think there'll be a winner. And if there is, there'll only be a 1 goal in it. If there is a winner, I could actually see it being Everton because Wolves really lack the firepower in regards to finishing chances because they're not giving, for me, Silva enough chances to play because Silva is actually the backup to Jimenez, but Nuno has changed the whole formation. I don't actually think he's needed to. He could have played the same 3-4-3, but have Silva up top. Because if there's one thing Silva gives over Jimenez, only one thing is pace. So, I'm really interested because I think Podence is out for a few weeks as well. So I think Wolves are struggling a bit. So I could actually see a 1-0 to Everton, but I'll go with a draw. I'll go 1-1.
Yeah, that Podence wounded me last game week, missing out. I was like, oh, differential, you look forward to it. And then he wasn't named. I was like, what's going on with this season?
Typical.
But I think Traore should get more starting time in that team. Really get him going, get him playing all the time. He's so good. He's so dangerous. Eventually, he'll find this deadly form, rather than having to keep bringing him on all the time. And I think that disrupts his form a little bit. It puts more pressure on him to have to deliver. But it's a funny one with Traore.
I agree. I mean, he is, you know what he's going to do, isn't it? Just good luck stopping him. The man's got power. He's got pace. He's got good balance. He's improved his balance a lot since he's come into the Premier League. Greased arms, or because people obviously want to hold on to him and fail. But one thing he really succeeded with is he'd get the ball, go wide every time, and he puts in a beautiful floating cross.
Yeah.
He's really good at that, but he's got no one to finish it off.
When Arsenal were not playing well, I was looking at him and I was thinking that's exactly what Arsenal need. Someone that can just go at players and, but we're started doing that now anyway. But
yes.
Yeah, I do. I just like
2 months later, we're doing it.
I think... it's a tough one. I think Everton might nick it, but Wolves are good at soaking up the pressure and doing the counter-attack. But obviously, like you said, because Silva is the backup to Jimenez. He's not really getting that service, is he? And when Podence was playing, it's like Podence and Neto sort of go it alone and don't really look for him. But yeah, I think I'll sit on the fence, actually. Let's go for a 1-1 draw. I'll go with you on that one because it really is quite a tough one to call. So, yeah, we'll go on to Wednesday. Manchester City, where all the FPL managers will be looking for game week 18, definitely, versus Brighton. How do you think that they might line up? And can Brighton wipe out Man City's clean sheet if they're not going to be able to do that?
I'm sorry, Graham. I can't even try and predict a lineup simply because they have the game today. If they didn't have the game today, I'd have some kind of guess as to what the lineup will be. Because not only are they playing tonight, they obviously got the FA Cup game as well, Man City. So who is going to play, right? And that's why even when choosing players on FPL, it's very difficult. Do I think Brighton can get a goal? Yes, I simply do. Simply because they got explosive players. Especially if Lamptey plays, he could really cause them some issues. But I'm going to bring in a defender anyway. I'll probably bring in Stones, simply because I can't afford Diaz or Cancelo. And KDB will definitely play, and Sterling will definitely play. And ultimately, if you're picking Man City, you're picking KDB, Sterling, Cancelo, Stones, Diaz, isn't it? It's three of those five you're looking to go for. So
guilty.
I could see a walloping. I could see a walloping here. I could see 4, 5, 6. Because Brighton are all over the place because Graham Potter can't pick a lineup. He's more roulette-y than Pep, isn't he? Like every game.
Potter, he has no magic at all, does he? Absolutely none. Needs to get some more. He needs to go Hogwarts, doesn't he? And relearn, do his blue badge or whatever it is they do for coaches.
So, yeah, and I don't even know how to counter that. Yeah, well played. So yeah, I think 5-0, 4-0 or 5-0. I think they'll get 3 goals in 35 minutes, and then they'll probably just want to keep the clean sheet, Man City, and just cruise. So,
that is brilliant. When you just support a team and you watch, done the job now, just keep the ball. But when you're an FPL manager, you're dying, aren't you? You're going, we need more. Go for attack, De Bruyne. Don't sit back. Go forward. No, don't sideways pass. You just want more points, don't you? I think it's funny with FPL managers. We could get a hat trick, right? And be like, yes, cheering all them points, captain. We still, we want that. We want one more every time that player goes forward. We want the extra points. We're never happy, are we? Even when we're doing good, as bad as things can get.
I think FPL team supporters, because you're obviously supporting your own team in FPL, I think we're the most petty fans. I think we are just the worst. Enough is never enough. We're never satisfied, are we?
No, definitely not.
What's a good example? I don't know. I've got loads, but I got a return from a game, and I smashed it. I think I got like 90 odd points when I wildcarded a few weeks ago.
Nice.
And I was like, oh, I could have got this. I could have got more. And I was just like, wait, hold on. You've gone up like 600,000, Ray. Like, calm down.
you just want more.
Don't be one of those guys.
It's fair. It's like, you'll go around your team with like 6-6, 12s and whatnot there, and then you'll look at the one who got like 2 or a 1, and you'll go, well, he should have done this or whatever. Or even if he got a 6, you go, should have scored that header to add to that. But yeah,
that's right.
On to Aston Villa and Spurs. Now, I think that would be my game in that week. I think that's going to be a good game. Aston Villa have had a astonishing season, haven't they? Really good. And Spurs, as much as they went off the boil, I think Jose got it right again. I hate saying this, but he got it right again last game, and they're back again, aren't they? Really, with Kane.
I'm with you. This is the game I'm most excited for the next game week, let alone intrigued by, not only as a game, but obviously assets as well, because I've got my eyes on a few. I've got two. I've got three in total at the moment from that game. But Aston Villa have been the team of the season for me because what Dean Smith has done phenomenally is he's got his back four, almost a block of four. He's got the two CDMs in front of him in Louis and McGinn. And I think the front four, he just says, do what you want, guys, because we're going to protect you at the back. Very rarely do Cash or Target really, really break the lines unless they really need to. Unless they have that security of the CDMs obviously dropping in. If Cash and Target, the fullbacks go up front, then they're covered. But absolutely brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. No matter who's playing, isn't it? I mean, Barkley's been out for a while. Then El Ghazi steps in, and if Grealish is going into the middle, Traore is suddenly coming in. So, they've got a fantastic system. So I'm really impressed. And I think when Aston Villa play anyone, as they showed against Manchester United, they trust their system, isn't it? They are not
massively.
Because I think now for the Premier League, because I personally feel defenders have just got worse throughout the years, is there's no point just sitting back and soaking. There really isn't, unless you're Jose Mourinho, because he's brilliant at it. He's a master at it. Is they're going to go for the throat, but still keep that security at the back. And I must say, Villa got top defenders, isn't it? They're all good. They're all good. They all do a solid job. Mings, Konsa, even House, who came in recently, they all do a top job. Emi Martinez is goalie of the season for me.
Yeah, easy.
And I think it's going to be a fantastic game because I feel Spurs have kind of got back to form a bit. They're starting to go after games. Their performance against Leeds, I thought, was absolutely brilliant. At no point did I think Leeds were going to score because Tottenham had them under control and still got more than 3 goals. I thought Tottenham were excellent. So I could see a 1-1 here, but I think it will be an exciting 1-1.
Yeah, for sure. It's definitely going to be, whether one soaks up and tries to hold possession. They're both going to be attacking. They've both got it in their systems, as you said, to do that. And
they can both soak up, isn't it? They both can soak up and counter. So it's going to be a real interesting tactical battle.
Very intriguing. Very intriguing, mate. Seriously, going to be a good game. I look forward to it. I mean, it's nice to sit that's what I love about FPL is all the different managers like yourself, how you see the game, what you think. And every game week it changes, and it changes for everyone. And we're all different. Yeah. And it's fascinating to have a look and see and maybe learn and take something. I could take something from you, pinch a few little tactics if you don't mind, and put them into the game week.
Well, I'm in the top 601,000 in the world, so yeah, nice. I'm big. I'm big.
Oh, you are. You're going big. Go get that captain hit again, and then get to the 400k. That'll be awesome. Just going to take a few questions from the chat. Not ignoring you. It's mainly nuclear atoms. He says, should I get El Ghazi? If so, then who for? Susek or Saka?
Sorry, could you repeat that again? Sorry,
yeah, absolutely. So he says, should I get El Ghazi? And he says, if I do, who for? Susek or Saka?
No. Souček. So he's currently got Souček and Saka.
Yeah,
that's what the question's reading.
Yeah.
No, you keep him. I mean, you keep him. You just keep him going forward. Nuclear, who's very much on the tweets all the time. I like that. He's very engaging.
Yeah.
But going forward, no. And even going for the next game week, I'll say no, because I think Souček, I'm going to look to bring him back in after taking him out. Me and Souček have had a weird relationship this season.
It's been sour check for you.
You got to stop this.
I don't have to
stop. You want me back on? No, I'm just kidding. But going forward, I think Saka and Souček, you want to hold them, because I think Saka is he's pretty much nailed on now. So I can see him being in so many teams. And I've said it for about 2 months. I think he's our best player. I think he's absolutely brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. We've got to keep hold of that boy. And regarding Souček, he's an incredible 5.2, 5.3 value player. So no, Nuclear, I wouldn't do it, mate. I wouldn't do it. Look at other options.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree with you on that, Ray. I think El Ghazi, he's looked really good, promising, but until he starts sort of getting the returns and the points regularly, which I think he can do, until then, keep the guys that are getting the points, and Susek and Saka certainly are. And in regards to Arsenal there, I have to say I always backed Arteta the whole way through, and you got a lot of people, AFTV, Arteta out, should he be? And I'm like, I'm watching the matches, guys, and I can see that we were so unfortunate. When we were playing bad, we were unfortunate not to actually pick points up or get the win sometimes, and going down to 10 men as well, that's never easy, and kind of the players' fault for doing that. So I always backed Arteta, and hopefully if we get a few cheeky little January signings in, it could be good for us, Ray, going forward. Good for Arsenal,
Yeah, I mean, with Arteta, it's been really weird. So I wrote an article, just my own personal WordPress beginning of the season, about being so apprehensive when we got Arteta. But then at the end of last season, I could see what he was trying to do with the defensive line, and obviously winning the cup, and then beginning of the season, great start. And then after that, I really was getting on that boat, unfortunately, of Arteta out. And the reason is because he was being so stubborn in regards to picking the players. And listen, whatever anyone says, that lineup we had against Chelsea was forced. It wasn't out of design. We had so many players out and unavailable that he almost had to strong arm Smith Rowe in, put Martinelli in, put Saka in. So I felt that was almost his saving grace personally. However, one thing I always said to the guy is he has got us more organized defensively. But a big issue I had about it was we were too scared about what was going on the other end, rather than actually attacking teams with the prowess we certainly have throughout the squad. And I believe he's doing that now. We're approaching games as a big team, because that's what we are. We're one of the most famous clubs in the world, and we're one of the most successful teams in England. I mean, we've won 13 league titles. It's not something to be sniffed at. We got a fantastic heritage of being a major club. So we should attack teams that way. And that's all I want us to do, Graham, is that when we're playing these teams, give them something to think about, but don't be stupid at the back.
Yeah.
Have your protection in front of the front four, which we've been doing, a la Villa almost. And let the four guys at the top do what they want to do. And that's what we've been doing. And we've been phenomenal. Against West Brom, I don't care who the opposition is, you got to beat what's in front of you.
In the snow.
Some of the patterns of play were just gorgeous. I was so proud of what we were doing, and ultimately I want it to work out. I don't want anyone to fail at Arsenal. It's my club. I'm not a fan of Willian that we've got him, but I want him to smash it, obviously, because then we will succeed. So as long as Arteta does that approach like he's been doing the last 3 games, I'll back him till the end of the season.
Good
if he
man.
does stupid things, if he's done silly little things, then I'm a bit like, stop playing Willian if he doesn't deserve it. Then obviously I'll have an issue. But long it may go on. And against Crystal Palace, all I want? I just want us to approach the game the same way, Graham. If we fail, what can you do, But if we go out there and we put the pedal to the metal, we get at them early like we did against Chelsea, like we did against West Brom, like we did in the second half against Brighton, then I'm very confident that we'll get the result.
Yeah, definitely. That's what you want to see at the end of the day, isn't it? Players trying and giving it their all, and playing for that badge. So it brings us on to our Arsenal versus Palace. And say if you were going to free hit in that game week, what 3 players would you have in your free hit?
Well, I wouldn't take 3. Sorry, I'd take 2. It would be Saka and Tierney for me.
Popular.
Personally, just based on my budgets, I'll probably bring in Smith Rowe.
Nice. 4.4,
simply because
I think he is.
I have Jones at the moment from Liverpool as that enabler. I'm like, what? I'll take him out for ESM for a couple of weeks, and then eventually look to bring in Souček when I take out DCL.
I'm loving the ESM. I'm loving it.
Yeah, but if I was free hitting, it would be Tierney and Saka. Those would be the 2, because they're going to be on the end of a lot of attacking potential from us, because our left side is looking devastating. Like back in the day, wink, wink, Graham. I know what you mean. I know you know what I'm talking about. What our left side used to be.
Yeah.
It could go back there again with some of this youth and exuberance and talent that we have.
Definitely very strong down that side, and cutting in, and Oh, it's just the triangles, the football that they were playing was, it was like Wenger ball, wasn't it? Coming back again, kind of, that. Oh, just amazing to watch. I just, yeah, filled me with joy. Very happy as an Arsenal fan. So
Right.
yeah, this about rounds up the show, everyone. So we've had a look at Game Week 8 and was going to look at double Game Week 9, but I just feel with even 18 being so far away and everything going on, it wouldn't be appropriate at the moment. And there's so
Yeah.
much to think about from a blank into a double as well. But we've covered the 18, and it's been a real joy having you on the show, Ray, and talking all things FPL and, of course, Arsenal. So it's goodbye from me and goodbye from Ray.